So currently I'm in the process of building quite a bit of cabinetry, some for my garage, some for my father-in-law's garage, some for our basement, etc. And while the cabinets themselves are built out of 3/4 inch plywood, I'm to the point where I need some 3/4 inch stock for all my face frames. Using real solid wood is a whole lot better finish than plywood. And instead of running out to Lowe's or Home Depot to buy said 3/4 inch stock, we're just gonna make it ourselves. Gonna be using this DeWalt DW735 planer. Had this thing for about 3 years. Love it. So a lot of times folks may be using these to just, shave down a little bit off of a board. I'm actually taking rough cut lumber and turning it into finished product. So not something everyone's doing. So yeah, I've had this planer for about 3 years and I'm absolutely in love with it. I am not a professional carpenter, don't obviously have a really nice wood shop or anything, but I have an absolute ton of milled up lumber laying around. This is all 1x. That stack there is all 2x. I built a really nice table out of that. And then under those tarps is a bunch more 2x, and off to the right is all the 1x. Just an absolute mountain of material. 13 inches wide. A couple cool features about this thing. Kind of a simple one, but what I think is really cool is that it runs off 120. No special wiring, don't need a 240 outlet for it. It has this little depth stop to it. So right now I have it set at 3/4. You can put it to a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, all the way down to an 1/8, and up to 1 1/4 inch. And then as you raise and lower the unit, it'll stop at 3/4 of an inch. And what's really cool about this is it has a fan assisted chip dispenser. Sounds fancy, right? And it moves some air and some chips. So this is kind of a hillbilly setup. I've got a dryer vent hooked to a piece of corrugated pipe. This thing moves some material with force. And so there's a pile of all the chips I've accumulated over the last, 6 months. So those are some of my quick ramblings. I'll ramble a little bit more about this thing later. But right now, let's just get this thing going. I'm gonna show you how well it cleans things up. You can see already just how nice this is gonna be once it's done. Also, if you're looking into buying this, the in and out feed tables or trays are a must. They don't come with the base unit. And then buying the base itself, also highly advisable. I really do love this thing, mostly because it's paid for itself. It is pretty loud though. So after 3 or 4 passes, this already looks amazing. And you can see why what I said about it paying for itself is true. Let's go out here in the actual daylight. Look at that workbench. We'll just use that. All right, check this out. There we go. I don't know why I'm showing you this like you've never seen wood planed before, but there's the before. There's after. Like the eye doctor. 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Yeah. About the same, maybe 2. Okay. And what's kind of crazy is that was on the kind of rough cut mode. So there's a finishing cut mode. It says 179 cuts per second, per inch, or 96 cuts per inch, and that's where we're at. I've only run this on the finished cut thing like once or twice. It doesn't change the RPMs of the motor, it just slows the rollers down or speeds them up. And going from rough cut lumber to that just on the rough cut mode has been plenty fine for finished furniture. With some sanding, of course. And like I said, I am not a professional carpenter, not by any stretch. I'm a guy who likes to do projects themselves to save a little money, have a sense of pride of building stuff yourself. But I don't want to spend insane amounts of money on having said workshop just to be able to do so. So it was this. 3 years in, it's been awesome. No complaints. I'd buy it again tomorrow in a heartbeat. I think the test is, would you gift it to anyone? Yeah, my dad would love this. Dad, if you're watching, this might be your Christmas present next year. Let's plant some more wood. At least wanted to highlight this real quick before we kept going. You can see that there's obviously a low spot here and the edges are high. So we're not just taking perfectly square boards and taking a little bit of material off of them. We're squaring these things up. And I'm not using any kind of sled and it works out just fine. Got my first board done. It's amazing what you can take rough cut lumber and turn it into. If you ever get the opportunity to have your own trees milled up, do so and then get one of these, man. All right, let's check the depth gauge, see how well it worked. Should be dead on 3/4 of an inch. Got my genuine Harbor Freight tape here. It's always hard to read it off of a, so there you go, 3 3/4. Good to me. I know I mentioned these tables. If I didn't mention, you definitely want to have some rollers on the ends. This kind of stuff, you know, this is like 11 or 12 feet long, 1 inch when we started down to 3/4. But when I was milling up 2x that was over 12 feet long, it just got a little heavy sitting on there, and I had to kind of work it through, and those rollers make all the difference in the world. I'm gonna show you the chips flying out here in a second too. And one other thing that I've seen people complain about on these is that this depth gauge isn't accurate. I mean, you just saw what I cut it at, pretty much dead on 3/4, and our stop is there at 3/4. So you can see here, I can't crank this down anymore. I can certainly go up with it. Now I want to get going down. It just bottoms out at 3/4 of an inch, which is awesome. One thing I won't typically do, or don't try to do, is abuse my machinery. I will not be sending that through the planer. Couple other points of note while I'm thinking about it. One is you will be amazed at how much drag an unfinished side can create versus a finished side. So I don't know if the camera caught it or not, but in the last cuts of this side, I was having to help feed it through because this rough side was down. Once I flip it over and get the smooth side down, it glides right through. You could always wax this if you needed to. Once the blades get to the point where they're dull, you'll know it'll slow down in cutting. I'm not going to take this apart because there's dozens of people on YouTube that have made videos about this, but the tool lives right here, and there's just 4 screws. This plastic guy pops off, undo some stuff by hand, and then what's cool is this little tool has a magnet in it, so that's aluminum, doesn't work. But when you go to take the blades out, after you undo them, you just pop them out, and they are reversible. There's 2 sides to each blade, so I have yet to actually replace them. I've spun them once, and these are the ones I bought. These are Fox brand. Don't know how well they hold up as compared to DeWalt's. I'm gonna show you what they look like anyway. I cut my finger off in the process. But yeah, so when you're pulling them out of the system, you just... But I will say that I've used Fox brand before on other items. I shouldn't have done this and have had no issues. Case in point, there are couple extra sets of table saw and miter saw blades down here. I talked about this being awesome because it's only on a 120, but make sure you put it on a dedicated circuit, or if it's in your garage, make sure it's not the same circuit as like your fridge, you're not drawing down. If you bite too much with this thing, it will kick a 20 amp breaker, even though it's only a 15 amp motor. I've thrown it multiple times, never had any damage to the unit. And if you get too much of a bite, on occasion, if your wood's a little bit damp, you can kind of grab like strings of wood. Instead of cutting it, you're kind of ripping it, and it will clog this, and it's just a real headache to take it apart and clean it out. I've done that once, like the first time I got this. All in all though, I do really love this little planer. Like I said, I'm not a professional when it comes to woodworking, but I'm a guy who likes to do stuff myself, and it turns out a pretty decent product. This piece here could use some sanding, but what lunatic would build something out of wood and not sand it before they finish it? So I'm gonna do some more of this stuff off camera. I'll show you what I get completed today, and then I wanna show you guys the lumber pile out there too, and what I have left, because there's still a lot. You guys who are coming here for the planer don't really care about that. My regulars might, all 6 of them. All right, so I just finished planing down everything that I had set out anyway. Looks like I got a total of about, what, 6 pieces here. Should be enough. I may end up planing a few more down just to have extra laying around. Always good to have 3/4 inch stock. I think it goes without saying, but you're gonna want a pair of these if you run something like this. This thing is insanely loud. Over here looking at our sawdust pile, added quite a bit to it this afternoon. That thing really puts out a lot of material. And that's what's nice about doing it this way, is you could put one of those, you know, dust collection bags on there where the air blows through it. But A, I think you have to change it quite a bit. And B, up here is virtually dust free. There's nothing in the air. You don't need to wear a respirator. Now when I'm ripping plywood, sure, but this thing, it's like I didn't even run it up here. It's awesome. But again, this thing has certainly paid for itself. For example, here's a piece of oak that's been planed down. Good looking stuff when it's all said and done. And here's the 1x pile I was pulling off of. Most of this stuff here is oak. Really nice stuff to have. There's some poplar, maple, ash in here. And if you've been here before and you remember, this is a mix of a bunch of I-joists in the back there to build a lean-to over by the barn, and then a lot of 2x and some 2x4s. A lot of 2x8s, 10s, 6s, and a bunch of 2x4s back here. So if you're curious about this planer and you've been looking at it for a while, don't be scared, don't be on the fence. It's awesome. You know, I kept saying earlier that I'm not a professional woodworker or professional carpenter, whatnot. I would argue that I have easily run more board feet through this than your average bear. Every time I come out here to use this thing, I'm taking milled down lumber and planing it down so it can be finished lumber. I'm not taking a 32nd off a board I bought at Lowe's. I'm literally making the boards that you would buy at Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards or your lumber yard of choice. I really want to run a board through here with this off, but I know it'd make an absolute mess. Anyways, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys next time.